Good evening, everyone. Welcome to all the respected faculty members who have joined us. It's great to have you again with us today. And today we have two very good sessions for you. We have lined up. One is we have a master trainer with us, whose sessions are really eagerly looked forward to by all, Dr. Prakash Kotetti.
Okay.
He is going to take the session on Gen AI in the real world, filmmaking, story generator, and hospitality. And after that, we will have another session on retail, supply chain, and fashion industry. That will be by our international expert who is going to be joining us from Netherlands, Miss Anjana Kanduri. She will be joining us. And just some instructions I'll repeat while we have all our colleagues joining us. Today, all of you would have received in your registered email ID the coupon code which you can use to take the assessment on Future Skills Prime. So basically, what you need to do is you just need to complete the course and then you'll be able to take the assessment. Yesterday, also, I had told you that you do not need to pay 600 rupees for the assessment. All of you would have received a coupon code in your registered email ID. What you need to do is you need to go on the Future Skills Prime website and then you need to take that assessment. Uh, you can take the mock assessment, which is free of cost, and that will give you some practice for the questions. And then you take the assessment, which is the paid assessment for 600 rupees, but you do not have to pay. You just have to apply the coupon code. It will ask you to update your address. In most cases, it will ask you to update your address. What you need to do is click on update address and give the same address which you have given, and then you will be able to apply the coupon code. So I hope that is clear. And I'll now just briefly introduce our speaker for this session. First of all, welcome so much, Dr. Prakash Goteti, for joining us. It's a
Thank you so
privilege.
much.
It's a privilege for us to have you with us. And Dr. Prakash Gotetti, he is with Tech Mahindra. His focus is on infusing artificial intelligence and agile methodologies into business processes to catalyze transformation and growth. So, what it involves is designing sophisticated learning solutions and contributing to the national skill development initiatives like this program, AICT's online faculty development program, leveraging his expertise in AI, artificial intelligence, ML, machine learning, and project management. With his background as an assistant professor, he brings a robust academic foundation to his role, which enriches the mentoring and development program that he leads. Without losing much time, I'll hand it over to you, Dr. Prakash Kotetti, to take it forward and enrich our faculty members with your knowledge and insights.
Thank you so much, Kamana. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for this opportunity. I would like to share some of the intricacies of generative AI, considering specific use cases like filmmaking and hospitality. But before that, we also look at various dots associated with generative AI, so that we are within the context of what we are learning, right? So let me share my screen. Let me know if you are able to see my screen.
So before you get into that, and as you get into that, there are some questions for me.
Yeah.
So I'll just answer it. Mr. Prasad Vaste is asking that the promo code is expiring on 30th November. That is correct. So you have some time, but you please finish it within this week only. And second thing is, your question is that do we have to complete the course? Please do complete the course and then go for the test. So I hope that answers your question. And that answers everyone's questions. Thanks. Thank you.
I
Yeah, please
think
go ahead.
another important thing is, we need to look at the sessions that you are attending, even considering those exams as well. So we made utmost care so that, they are in sync. For
Yes.
example, we will discuss some sample quiz questions, right? So that you are embraced with what kind of questions we can expect even in the test, right? So,
Absolutely. Please attend the sessions.
and pay attention to the session and also complete the courses that you got allocated to, so that uh, you will be acquiring whatever knowledge and skills needed as part of this program, right? Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I will just share my screen. Hope you are able to see my screen, right?
It's coming up.
1 minute. I am resharing because there is some problem. Yeah, is it fine now?
Yes, you can go full screen.
Yeah, yeah, this is full screen only.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, yeah. Once again, good evening, everyone. Today we look at generative AI in real world. For example, filmmaking, story generator, or essentially a content generator, right? And hospitality. So if you look at these use cases, right? So they are from different domains. That is point number one. Point number two, we also need to understand that there is some background associated with this from the AML discipline. So without making any assumption of what we have already learned or what is required. So I will try to provide fundamentals pertaining to this so that you will be able to relate well with specific use cases and what kind of workloads they are associated with in real-time implementation, right? So let me just share the agenda with you. One is we'll touch upon generative AI overview as a big picture, and subsequently we look at architectural components because we are talking about AI, right? So it is also having computational model. So any application that you think of, it has a computational model inherently, right? How this computational model differs from traditional computational model, that's the first thing that we need to understand before we jump into AI or generative AI. So that is one thing we look at. And then how generative AI is different from artificial intelligence and various models pertaining to generative AI. Then specific to filmmaking, how people are using generative AI, we will look at. And in hospitality, generative AI applications we look at. And then we also look at various data formats and challenges associated with these kind of use cases, right? So these use cases, if you look at, right, we should look at in a holistic view. Like for example, we need to know a little bit about machine learning, for example, right? Because when you say hospitality, hospitality is associated with recommendations, right? For example, what customers' preferences are, how do you provide, you know, personalized service offerings, forecasting, seasonality, and uh, demand forecasting, for example, and various aspects pertaining to that. So we need to have a little bit of domain understanding. In addition to that, we need to know intricacies of AML. So that is the main objective of this session. So you can always put your questions in the chat, be interactive during this session, right? So let us first understand overall ecosystem of AI as a discipline, right? So artificial intelligence, if you see, is a discipline where we will try to mimic certain activities which are being performed by human being, right? But still we are in very nascent stage because AI is of two types. One is strong AI, other one is weak AI. So far, the progress that we made in AI discipline is predominantly on weak AI front. What is strong A? Strong A is connected with decision making the way humans take, like for example, driving a car and sensing, right? Sensing certain things from the environment, right? So these are the certain things, where we need to do a lot of progress, right? See, a lot of scope is there for making progress, great opportunity we have. So that's where artificial intelligence as a core subject you see most happening area uh, in recent past is about reinforcement learning or agentic AI development, right? So that's where you ensure that you are enabling the systems to take decisions, but you also make them learn from their mistakes where you attach some reward and some penalty, right, for the actions that they take. They are not actually aligned with the goal. The interesting thing about AI is that it is not like a precise goal that you normally establish for yourself, like clearing an exam, completing a certification, right? Because these are the goals which you can visualize as a human being. In artificial intelligence, we establish goals in such a way that you yourself as a human being are not able to clearly define that goal. So you all these actions associated by the so-called systems, right, they are based on certain configurations, certain actions they take, you know through which they also learn, right? So this is how AI is typically all about, right? Uh, and of course, you must be familiar with machine learning, right? Where you think of models which can learn from the data, and when you give a new data point, they will be able to interpret based on the past experience they gain from the model development. Then subsequently, you also see deep learning, which is a specialized subset of machine learning, which uses neural networks. So this involves computationally intensive activities. That's why nowadays you will be hearing about GPUs and NVIDIA, CUDA, and all that, right? So there are various frameworks that are being established depending upon the domain. For example, healthcare is one domain where you see a lot of traction of deep learning and computer vision kind of use cases, because the traditional deep learning algorithms and traditional frameworks which are currently available, like for example TensorFlow or Keras, they may not cater to the needs of the specific domains which are of high complexity in nature in medical imaging and x-ray screening. That's where a lot of frameworks are coming up, like Monai, right? Is one example, right? Medical oriented network for AI, right? Monai means. So similarly, you have many more like that. I don't want to just throw some technical jargons, but it is important for us to understand the fact that the models and the implementations overall ecosystem which we were working so far since 2017 onwards, right? It has been evolving significantly, and more domain customized ecosystems are coming up, right? So that is one thing we need to understand. And of course, subsequently, you also see generative AI, which is again a class of deep learning models. They are designed to produce uh, content generators like new content, text, images, and all that. I will explain what are the models in general and how these things can be understood and visualized, right? So there are something like generative adversarial networks, large language models, so on and so forth. We touch base on these aspects briefly, and of course, one of the important conceptualization of reinforcement learning is agentic AI. how do we build agents? Agents are essentially encapsulation of the AI application that you develop, where agent as an entity can run end-to-end AML automation pipeline, right? So that's how it is. So in terms of dependencies, you can see here, right, how it is in the broader ecosystem. You have artificial intelligence. Below you have more specialized machine learning and then deep learning. You have generative AI and agentic AI. So as part of this series of sessions, our focus is more on generative AI, right? So generative AI is concerned about generating new content, right? So unlike machine learning, where you don't generate new data, but you try to interpret data and uh, infer certain things so that you can take more meaningful business decisions, which are not naturally so easy for a human being to interpret the data and infer these kind of outcomes, right? So for any computation, you need to deal with the data, right? So let me just explain this context. Let me share my screen again. Just a minute. You let me know if you are able to see my blackboard. So I will just share this. Give me a minute. So you just confirm if you are able to see my whiteboard so that, you know, can you see? Let me just check chat if you are able to see. Can you see my blackboard? Yeah, thank you so much. So let me say that first we talk about computation model, right? So if you look at traditional computational model, this is my traditional computational model. You have input, you have a process and output, correct? So in these type of models, what you have here is you basically give data as input, right? Your process is basically program, right? In traditional, in AI discipline, how it works, right? You give data as output and you give output also to your model, and what you get is program, right? So whether it is data generators or it's like AML applications, what you essentially see is that you give certain features pertaining to data and also give what it look like, right? What it looks like. That is also you will give as output. Now you generate a model, right? This model, once you get this program, it will learn by itself through data and external resources, external avenues. External avenues, when you are talking about generative AI, right? They can churn out data from various web pages, documents, right? And things like that, right? So this is the fundamental difference between traditional model and the models that we are talking about in, right, AI discipline. Once we understand this difference, then it is easy for us to correlate with any of these uh, different tracks, whether it is machine learning or generative AI and all that, right? So that is one thing. Second thing is, in the traditional programming, what are the data types that we have here, right? In traditional programming, what are the data types we talk about? Data types are like integers, some real numbers, and some strings or characters, right? Character sequences, right? Typically, you define operations on these data types, right? But suddenly, when you come here, right, when you talk about data types, you say structured, and you apply semi here, you have un here, etc. Right? Structured data is like you have a nice column kind of a thing, like a database tables where you have individual columns, and there is, this is also called schema, right? You have a schema and you have a type definition. Each column will define data type. Like for example, if you say string name, right, you will say varchar of 20, something like that, right? And when you say integer or float, you define specific columns, right? Now, on the other hand, semi-structured data example is HTML file where you put some kind of structure through tags, right? In HTML, you define tags, right? But type conformance is missing here. In unstructured data, it has neither schema nor type conformance nor data type conformance. So when you come back to generative AI, you should be capable of dealing with all this stuff, right? Isn't it? For example, if you want to create uh, a new image, let us suppose you give a green parrot as input and to your model, and you expect different colors, you'll get beautiful parrot images which you yourself won't think of that kind of patterns, right? How it is possible? It is possible because these models will extract features, information from various possible resources that are available to it, and they they extract features using complex models. So now comes your deep learning or machine learning, right? Let me go to the slide because I want to maintain that continuity. Now it is clear, right, how the computation model is different from traditional to artificial intelligence as a, one minute, discipline, right? So this part we understood now. Now this is overall ecosystem that you can see here. If you see artificial intelligence as a domain, now within that you need to figure out specialty. For example, some of you might be interested in pursuing some research or PhD, right? So you don't have to churn all these domains. You either focus on NLP, you focus on speech related thing, you focus on vision type of models, you focus on machine learning, right? So you need to look at a particular domain. You don't have to master everything. That's one important thing I want to tell you. Uh, Another thing people have back of their mind is in terms of prerequisites, right? A lot of people say that you should be good in math, you should be good in stat and all that. It is not necessarily that way it works. Because your cycle time will be significantly large if you think that you start from first principles, because that way it we may not actually help you to achieve your goal, right? So it is important that among all these areas or domains within AI, you need to pick up one particular domain. You need to acquire necessary knowledge and skills pertaining to that domain. Okay, that is one thing I want to tell you. So any one of these you can pick up and you know focus on that. Now, when it comes to machine learning as a big picture, it consists of series of algorithms or catalog of algorithms, right? People who are familiar with Java stack, right? They understand design patterns, right? All of you know design patterns, at least from computer science, isn't it? What are design patterns? You need to respond quickly, okay? We don't have infinite time. What are design patterns? No, you just answer whether you are aware of it, you are not aware of it. One answer is enough for me. So it consists of a catalog of algorithms that can be used in day-to-day business application development in a Java or web application development stack, right? Similarly, here also no problem. Then just ignore that. So what we are saying here in machine learning is we are having series of algorithms, right? One is supervised learning, other one is unsupervised learning, then reinforcement learning. Within that supervised learning, you have a classification and regression. What is supervised learning? It it is based on labeled data, right? Let me just write here. It labeled data. What is labeled data? Suppose you have features x1, x2, xn, and you have a y. Let us say you have something like blood pressure, and you have a weight, and you have something like height. Now you have each diabetic or not, let us say. Yes means 1, no means 0. So you want to make some predictive models, right? So this class of problems comes under classification because your y is discrete, right? Whereas if you want to predict a stock price, let us say, then your y becomes a real number. Y is floating point or real number. So these are called regression models, right? So of course, in unsupervised learning, where you do not necessarily necessarily deal with labeled data. So like for example, customer segmentation, right? And association rule mining. What is association rule mining? Suppose you have a grocery store and you see that somebody will be purchasing bread, let us say, and they also purchase milk, right? Now you want to develop some association saying that there is a high chance that they also purchase jam. So when you do this kind of associations, right? When you do this kind of association, then what will happen is you can design certain promotions, or you can display these items. For example, where you display bread, you ensure that milk is within that vicinity, and you also ensure that jam is also within that vicinity. Otherwise what will happen? Bread will be somewhere, milk will be somewhere, right? And jam will be somewhere else. So that way you are not giving a good user experience, right? Because anyone visits this grocery store now. For example, nobody visits because we always prefer to get online in like Insta and all that, right? But in case if you want to visit, why you need to ensure that the overall time you spend should be minimal, right? So that's where these associations are very important. That is number one. Number two, if you want to promote a product, or item, what is the best way to promote? You need to see the what is the what is the likely purchasing behaviors of the customers. So that's where also your association rule meaning is helpful. And feature exploration and new feature construction. This is again something connected with you know you have so many features x1, x2, xn, and what are the most prominent features to predict my vibe. So those kind of algorithms we will be discussing here. And
Uh,
reinforcement learning,
can I just interrupt?
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. There are a lot of participants are asking questions that the promo code is not working. The
uh
promo code will only work for your registered email ID on Atal portal. So, as I had explained earlier, also, uh, you need to use the same email ID, because what we have done is that through the platform, the registered email IDs have been given the promo code. It will only work for that email ID on Future Skills Prime. So if you have logged in with a different mail ID on Future Skills Prime, the promo code will not work. So I'll urge you, as I had urged you earlier also, you need to use the same email ID for Atal and for Future Skills Prime. That's how the promo code will work. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you. So please carry on.
yeah, thanks. So now we'll look at model types, right? There are two types of models. One is discriminative model, other one is generative models. So examples for discriminative models, as you see, they are classification and prediction types. And in the case of generative model, you are generating new content from existing models, right? How it works, right? Let me give some simple principle behind this. Let me just clear my screen again. Yeah. So if you see this, when you talk about model, right, there are two types. One is discriminative, generative. Example for discriminative is like predicting price of a house. Suppose if you want to predict price of a house, you have some kind of features like construction area, water facility, right, number of rooms, right, proximity within the city, etc. Based on that, you predict price. So you have a equation like something like y is equal to f of x1, x2, x3. On the other hand, discriminative model is probabilistic in nature, or you always talk about probability distributions. For example, if you take normal distribution, any variable you take, it has parameters like mean and standard deviation, and you get something like this, right? You have equation. You cannot avoid mathematics in AI, unfortunately, right? Because this is the language that you speak. So here what happens is, if you want, you given these parameters of the model, you can construct new data point, can get new data point. You can get series of data points given your model parameters. This is a fundamental, very elementary argument of what are my model parameters. Because most of the time when you read literature on LLMs, they always say 3 billion parameters, 4 billion parameters. But essentially, why do you need to care about these parameters in generative models? Because your data generators, generative models are essentially data generators. they have some predefined parameters as part of the data distribution. And in real life, you don't have mu sigma, you have set of parameters which are derived from artificial neural networks, right? So your artificial neural network will take some sample inputs like this. It will go through some a network comprises of nodes, and each arrow that you see, each edge has some weight, and again you have another layer like this, and again you have weights. So these model parameters are nothing but weights. What you refer as parameters are essentially weights. Okay. So that kind of preliminary understanding is required. And let me just share this. Right. Now you understood how generative models works, right? So it creates something entirely new. It generates new instances, right? Whereas your discriminative models will differentiate between your data instances, right? Any question on this part? Please type in the chat window. Next, we have LLMs, large language models, right? So what are the large language models? Large language models are models based on, let's say, neural networks, which are general purpose models, which are pre-trained. What is pre-trained? The weights associated with these networks are known. That's what pre-trained means. So you have a neural network. Now you give all together different data to the network, right? But these weights are already available, so that your learning time will be very less, right? Because model will be able to learn from the data, and it can generate new data, like for example, right? So that's what pre-trained means. So of course, they are trained on massive data. They have a lot of parameters. We have transformers. They use deep learning techniques like neural networks, and LLMs are fine-tuned for tasks. Like for example, depending upon the input that you provide as a prompt, this is very important. That's why prompt engineering is very critical, right? Very prominent role it is becoming now, because how you design these prompts, right? When you design a input to the large language model, the input in the text form that you provide, or anything that you attach supporting your text, this comes under prompt, right? So when you give some example or additional inputs, these are called, mm, you know, multi-shot prompts. If you don't give just any input, you just put a question, they are called zero shot, right? So if you are giving right prompts, then what is happening? You are making your LLMs work faster. That means the amount of energy they consume in executing this model for your input will be less, which means you are saving a lot of water, isn't it? So it is very important you understand the importance of prompt engineering, how you are giving the prompts, right? So of course, you can also generate text through various predictions, where your inputs are internally converted into tokens, words. They will be analyzed as features, and based on that, they will be fed to your large language model, so that it can understand and process in a better way and give relevant result, isn't it? So this is how a typical generative AI architecture look like. We are not looking at any specific concrete use case of generative AI architecture, but in general, this is the concept, right? You construct input vector, your data that you give, right? Text or video, anything, it is converted internally into numbers, right? So these numbers are constructed again as a vector, right? Sequence of values. They will be given to your generative model. So what model does is, like I said, in a computation model, I explained, right? It will take this data, it will take the pre-trained model along with weights, and it will create a new data point, new example. Right? So you compare that example that is created by your generative model with the actual example. You give both the examples to a discriminative model. Discriminative model, I told you, right? You give a data, features, and label also. So label is what in this case a real example or fake example. Two values you are giving for y, right? Y has two values. Either it can be fake or it can be real. So discriminative model will classify your examples whether it is real or fake, and based on that you bridge the gap between real and fake, because the data that you generate using generative model, you should be, or you expect that data to be as good as your actual data, right? So that's how you minimize these errors through binary classification, and you fine tune the model. That's why you have a feedback loop here. Again, you fine tune the generative model and you update the model in the discriminator layer, and that's how this whole thing works, right? So these are the typical examples. Um, Transformer models, pre-trained transformer models, generative pre-trained transformer models, and these are something called decoder and autoregressive. And there is a a bidirectional encoding transformer, and Falcon, etc., etc. So these are just, I wanted to give the purpose of these things, and you are not required to remember each of these, but at least you should understand what is GPT, which one you will use for a particular scenario and all that, right? So far we completed generative AI overview and architectural components. Now we are getting into a specific domain called AI in content and filmmaking. So I will pause here for a minute. So if you have any question, I will take, right? Please share your questions if you have any.
I think most of the questions are for me. There is one question that generative are unsupervised from Pallavi Sakale.
Uh,
So you can say that. And to everyone, the coupon code, if it is not expired, it is till 30th of November, not October. So it is not expired. The coupon code is valid for another 30 days. And for any of you, if you are not able to use the coupon code, kindly send me a screenshot on my email ID. You all have my email ID, so kindly do that. Thank you.
yeah,
We'll take it up. I mean, I will share
yeah.
it with my team and we'll resolve it in a day or two. So that's how we are going to work it out. Yeah.
All right. So in film industry, how do you look at generative AI, right? One is you wanted to create some kind of you want to take the help of these generative models to towards your storytelling and creativity, creative writing, and production, etc., etc., right? So these are the typical areas of impact in filmmaking, right? One is script writing and story development. Right? Second one is pre-production and visualization. Third one is production and filmmaking. Fourth one is VFX, right? Special effects. And then marketing and audience engagement, right? So let us look at each of these categories. So if you look at story writing, storytelling, it is specific to content generation, right? So you can use generative AI for script writing and fine tuning the script, right? And either you can ask it to suggest alternative plots or alternative endings. How it is able to curate and give the possible options, because it already has lot of reviews which are available openly on web, right? So it will look at feedback of the people, what kind of plots they like, isn't it? And the movies, when they fail, why they fail, all that it applies that knowledge and it will recommend certain plots and a certain way you want to conclude your movie, right? That's very, very critical thing, isn't it? There are many cases where you see movies are exceptionally good, but the way they conclude the climax, because of which they won't get the recognition they deserve, right? So that's where generative AI plays very, very important role. The other one is pre-production and visualization, right? So this is where you have models like Midjourney, DALL-E, etc. But this is just an example, right? There are again domain-specific models people are fine-tuning, right? See, it is very simple. If you have a gravy, right? If you have a gravy, then you can make a different curry, right? Altogether. Like for example, mixed veg you want to make, you can make using the same base gravy. And similarly, if you want to create a matar paneer, for example, you can see same gravy. So these transformer models are like gravy. So specific ingredients that you provide will be the data that you are giving it to fine tune that model, right? So that is the power of these transformer models, right? So there are aspects like storyboard automation where you want to convert text to image, right? And you want to see some visual casting, how it will appear. Suppose you want to prepare a set, right? Instead of investing lakhs and crores of rupees on set, can you actually create a simulated environment using AR, VR, integrating with AI, so that you experience that? Normally, if you buy certain gadgets in retail online platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, there you see that, do you want to experience it? Like for example, you can take that product to any corner of your room because you want to place that. If you take a lamp, for example, you are purchasing, you're trying to make an order, then it will ask you to take it to a particular room so that you get the user experience. You perceive that experience once you buy, how it look like. That's very, very powerful thing. And such concept is so crucial in filmmaking because you can save a lot of money, right? Expenditure, operational cost. So similarly, if you see here, post production, color grading, visual effects, right? That is one aspect that you can think of. And sound design, special effects, that can be Suno. If you see, these are more prominent models. Suno is one of the models, like some of our singers or music directors, they all use these things. Towards the end, I will show you certain frameworks people are using it, right? Maybe in this session or tomorrow session, right? Then marketing and audience engagement. This again, you will use a supervised learning model like customer segmentation model. You attach it on top of an agent, right? You provide that as a knowledge to the agent, and you have some generative model. So it will use the knowledge from that machine learning model, and it will take actions and generate certain impactful scenes, for example, right? And predictive analytics, it comes from machine learning model development. It will use that as a knowledge as part of this training, right? Same is the case even with sentiment analysis, right? So this is about how you can use AI in film making, right? Now let us look at generative models. Now we are getting into more technicality, right? So in terms of data abstraction, how do we look at these generative models? There are family of models, right? So this can be classified broadly in these categories. Generative models can be categorized into density-based models and approximation models at the in first level. On the other hand, density-based models are categorized into explicit type and implicit density models, right? And we normally look at approximation models as variational autoencoders, and implicit density models where you have a GANs, right? Adversarial networks and diffusion models. On the other hand, explicit, it is also regressive models and flow-based models. So let me just explain what it is, what is auto-regressive and flow-based model. Because little bit of math also you need to understand. Otherwise, it looks like some English session, right? So let me just share my screen. So we are talking about. So a typical generative model, if you see, you always refer to what we call joint probability, right? All of your faculty, so I try to correlate this with uh, the concepts that you teach in day-to-day life to your students, right? So that you can correlate well. So in joint probability, what we have is something like you define probability distribution function, something like p of x1, x2, and so on, xn, given that some y, and you convert, you apply independence here. What kind of independence it is called? Anyone can tell me? That independence will help you to write this as I is equal to 1 to n product over p of xi over y, right? So same, what kind of independence it is called? Can anyone type in the chat box? See, it is already 6:45. You are still worried about accessing the course instead of focusing on what is happening here, is it? So my suggestion is just focus on this. Then later on you can figure out how to access that course.
I'm just telling everyone that I will please listen to the lecture. At the end of this lecture, I will explain how to access the course as well as how to take the assessment. I am also, Dr. Goretti, I am also just answering WhatsApp and messages. I wanted to attend your session, but I'm just answering to people's queries how to access.
Yeah, because you see, we are all faculty, let us say, we ourselves will get disturbed, right? When we, suppose you, all of you will take classes. Suppose you take a class, somebody say that, how do we find, where do we find my assignment? Instead of focusing on your class, how do you feel? Isn't it? So same
Yeah.
thing is applicable to me also, isn't it? So,
Yeah, 7:30. Once this lecture is
uh,
over, I will show you where to find the course and how to do the assessment. So please have a little more patience and just listen
yeah,
to the lecture. Yeah, thank you.
yeah. Thanks. So, what is this independence called, right? No problem. Thank you so much. I really appreciate if you are following. And if you are following, you will have questions we'll ask. That's the only thing I am expecting. Now, what is this independence called, right? This independence called class conditional independence, right? Have you heard about this? So same class conditional independence works here because when you are giving your data points, essentially your features, you don't expect all the features to be related, and in general there could be some overlap, but the features are considered to be independent. So you essentially compute these probabilities, right? So this is very expensive in terms of cost. So examples which are based on this is image generation, for example. So if you look at image generation, there are models like let's say pixel CNN, right? This is one model you can think of. GPT models, GPT 3, 4, 5, right? These are all such generative models. So next thing that you see, flow-based models, right? Flow-based models. So when you look at flow-based models, they will these models they learn from invertible transformations. So what is invertible transformations, right? Suppose you define a function x is equal to f of z. Of course, in general, they are called latent variables, right? So now what happens if you want to get z, right? Z is f inverse of x. So this is the principle behind flow-based models. Typical generative models that we can think of is GLOW, right? What is the limitation of flow-based models? Any guess? What are the limitations of flow-based models? One is they are memory intensive. And second thing is they have this requirement of invertibility, right? Correct? Often in math, you see that some of the functions are not invertible because they have singularity, right? So these are some of the things that you look at, you know. And when it comes to, let's say, density-based models, how many of you actually teach AML, or how many of you actually from this similar discipline? Okay, anyway, that is a different question because I just want to see whether you are following or not. Or density, this is basically I told you about implicit and explicit, right? I am talking about implicit density models, right? So where you define some kind of expectation in terms of your data generators, and you also maximize with respect to data, you apply some expectation value 1 log d plus like this, right? If you are familiar with this, well and good. Otherwise, you just ignore because what you see in day-to-day life in math, in machine learning, and what you teach really, right? Uh, Satya Brata is saying that already asked questions from previous slides but did not get answers till now. What questions you are asking? Let me just check, Satya Brata. I'm going through this chart, Satya Brata. Let me just see. Otherwise, can you put it here, Satya Brata? Can you put a list here so that I can answer them? I will try to answer them rather. How can we use a deep learning model using a pre-trained data? See, first of all, your data is not pre-trained, right? You are using pre-trained model. Data is something that you are already having, right? If you are yourself giving pre-trained data, then it will have bias, na? Because it will give similar output only. But what suppose you want to create different texture of different color of parrots, right? You give a parrot image. You cannot give different types of parrots and different type of colors, na? Because when you use a transformer model, you give sample image of a parrot and you say that give me image where parrot is sitting on the tree and eating a fruit. Suppose you give a prompt, then you should give a image like that. So what it does, it will process your input text and it will use your image data which is not pre-trained, right? Is it pre-trained? No, right? There is no model which is developed this parrot image, isn't it? So that's how we need to look at. Hope that clarifies your question, right? Question number one. Satyabrata, you type small letter yes or small letter no. Yeah. Okay. Next thing is you asked about how can we use language and vision models. So this is very generic. It's like, how do we use a nail cutter, right? It depends upon the context, right? Whether you are using it for yourself or whether you are using it for your children, isn't it? So the right question could be like, I wanted to apply models on generating new images or classifying images, screening of images. Then what kind of vision models you use? Yes, definitely you can use vision models like you know Inception V3, MobileNet, various CNN models we can use, right? What is the difference between them? Yes, difference in the sense that each this is a great question. Each model is designed with some purpose, right? People had struggled to do screening of these images. They fine tuned the number of layers within the network, number of nodes within the layer, various permutations and combinations, and you also use convolution, which is an operation to extract higher order features within that image. So based on the different parameters, different design people have come up with, depending upon the configuration of the design, you have that name, whether it is Inception V3 or UNet or VGG16 and all that. So for me, if I am working on a vision model, I don't know whether a particular model works or not. I will train my data on that model and see my results, and then I switch to different models, right? That is about computer vision. Now, when it comes to language models, if you want to do something like language translation, text to speech, speech to text, then essentially you need language models in that context, right? Where you have models which are coming from natural language processing, NLP based models like BERT, and that pre-processing is different. There you will do transformation using uh, you know TF-IDF, word to vector and all that, right? So Satyabrata, is it clear? I try to answer your questions. At least I try to provide insights because this is not like one line answer for these questions. They are more involved, your questions, right? Okay, thanks. So scalable AI and explainable AI, these two are not within the preview of my session. I refrain myself with respect to the topic and scope that I am expected to deliver. Sorry for that. Is it fine, Bindu madam? Yeah. Someone is asking about assignment exam. Again, my answer is the same. Please focus on the session. We will worry about it later. Okay, then. Fine.
You've gone on mute, Dr. Kutetti. By mistake, I think you've gone on mute.
Okay, okay. Is it now or entire
Just
Q&A?
now, just after you
Okay.
said
Okay.
that, let's
Yeah,
focus on the lesson. After that,
yeah. Okay. Is it fine now? You are able to hear me, right?
yes, 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 yes. Able to hear you.
Yeah. So this is what you can understand what is it about you know you asked, right, where to use what. So this is a brief explanation. When you talk about explicit density models, just give me a minute. Yeah. So as the name suggests, they define and calculate the probability density function. I already explained what is the probability density function, the likelihood, etc. So I actually taken it from LaTeX. That's why you see capital P math B of x, right? So ignore this. It is just f of x in bold letters. Now, implicit density models. So they are trained to develop some kind of flow-based models that I already explained to you. And then variational approximation models, they will use the concept of something called latent space, which is nothing but a compressed representation of data to generate new samples, right? Like your zip files that you do, right? So they involve some kind of entropy calculations and all that, right? Now I have a quiz for you because everybody is uh, concerned about the exam, right? How they wanted to do, how it will be, etc. Right? So let us go through these questions very quickly. Which of the following major use case of generative AI? You look at the options: ticket sales, script writing, popcorn, theater lighting. B, not A, because you are not generating a content in rest of the cases. These are all distractors. So you can expect similar kind of questions in the exam also, right? So now, how does generative AI assist in visual effects? Look at the options and tell me which one is appropriate. We have 5 minutes. We need to finish all these reflection questions before I actually delve into hospitality and other things. Right? It's almost 7:10, right? Okay, B.
Yes,
Yes, very good.
seven nine,
Automatically
7 9.
generating this, right?
Yeah, and I think
Now,
if you all focus on the questions, this will help you in passing your assessment also.
sorry?
I think if they focus on the questions and
Ah,
in
yeah,
their,
yeah, correct, correct.
it will help
No.
them in the assessment.
Yeah. Next, which AI technique commonly used for creating deepfake or face swapping effects? Reinforcement learning, CNN, generative AI adversarial network, decision trees. Decision trees, supervised learning, machine learning, so it is a distractor, remove it. Convolution neural network, again a distractor. You want to create, for creating, what you will use? You want to generate data, right? Yeah. So now you understand, right, how to eliminate distracted, right? Isn't it? Now let us take next question. In filmmaking, generative AI primarily used to which one? Which one of C? Very good. Generate personalized promotional content and trailers. Because remaining cases also you can use AI, but not necessarily generative AI, right? How can generative AI help in dubbing and localization of films? Takes Spend some time and answer this question. Okay, generating AI-based voiceover. Very good. Excellent. So, which of the following is advantage of AI-generated storyboarding? Which one? B. Will it replace film directors? No, right? So don't think that AI replace people. it doesn't mean that you replace film directors, right? Because you always take wrong examples. How does AI improve post-production editing? Yes, automatically sorting and selecting best takes. What is one ethical concern about generative AI filmmaking? This is just, based on your intuitive thinking, nothing else. Ownership and authenticity, because we often see that some music, when somebody produce generative music, always there are points of contentions that people are using AI in generating this and all that. So ownership and authenticity. How is generative AI is used in virtual production environment? If you get some time, you watch this with a small clip on Mandalorian, right? It is a good use case actually. Virtual production environment, how it is used. You can just type this entire thing as a prompt in uh, in Gemini, and you get all the details. Yeah. One future possibility in film industry. What is the possibility among these? So C and D is distractors. Definitely, you don't want to eliminate the platforms, right? C again, you don't want to look at in pricing and all that, right? You wanted to generate movies which are basically AI only created feature films. That's where we wanted to go, right? Now this is what. Now we get into some insights from experts, right? So I package certain videos on this. So if you look at this filmmaking broadly into three categories: pre-production, production, and post-production, and you can see this, right? So when it comes to hospitality services, there again three categories: we have personalization and guest experience, operational efficiency, isn't it? And changing and challenges and ethical considerations. Personalization and guest experience, we know, right? Because when you um, when you go on a tour, right? So if you um, uh, visit a hotel, right? It's very important what kind of personal experience that you are getting. Operational efficiency and management, like for example, you want to see some places, you want to have one-stop shop, right? You want to see what kind of commuting transport, cab facilities are available with respect to that hotel in a cost-effective way, right? So challenges and ethical consideration, because if you see demand pricing, then suddenly uh, like cabs, right? They arbitrarily increase the price, right? And they create artificial demand. How, when you forecasting these things, how do you ensure that such things are avoided? These are couple of examples, right? Now, when it comes to hospitality service, what are the challenges you can think of, right? 1 minute. One is the requirements, because we need to look at various heuristics, computational requirements, integration with actual production pipeline system, quality control aspects, interoperability, because your application uh, with which people are booking, right? That may be developed in one technology stack, but this AI application is in different technology stack. You want to create a small deployable model, interoperability, how it works, how the touch points work, you know, after deployment in actual production environment, how actually it responds to the user queries and all that. Like bots that you create for a website of, let's say, some five-star hotel, right? Then how they are responding uh, based on the questions that you ask, right? Like for example, you want to ask a question that I want a suit with where like with where you can accommodate only two people, right? So it should customize, and it should recompute the pricing tag along with the scenario that is given. That is very, very important, isn't it? Of course, data quality and cleansing is one important thing in this. So I will skip this. These are various data. Give me a minute. Now we look at complexity of data, right? That is the last point we talked about. So when you look at filmmaking, what kind of data representations that you need to deal with? Complexity, right? Pre-production, we have different type of formats. Production, there are different types of formats of the file representation. So is the case with post-production, right? For example, if you want to develop certain tools like Python-based tools for this filmmaking, etc., then probably you can use some APIs, right? There, the recommended file formats are these HDF5, JSON, text, CSV, etc., right? Pickle. Now, hospitality services, what is the data representation? You have a JSON, right? And you have XML format, semi-structured data predominantly, right? And CSV file format. In operational and financial data, you may have different formats, and guest facing, because when you want to interact with the guest, there is some video call where somebody is talking in English or French, you want to translate into other language, or they are from different language like a Mandarin, for example. You should understand what they are speaking. You need a uh, speech to text converter, and again you need to respond back, right? That's for guest facing. So let us take some small video. Can you hear?
Yes. Yes, we can hear.
Hi, I'm Noah from the Flow team. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of what Flow is and how it works. Flow is a generative video tool co-created with filmmakers to help them create better clips and scenes using AI. The entire tool is a combination of Google DeepMind's most advanced models, Veo, Imagine, and Gemini. So let's jump right in. This is the project view where all of your projects live. It's really easy to scroll and look through everything you're working on. When you click into a project or start a new one, all of your generations for this project will appear as you make them. Let's focus here on the prompt box. By default, it is set to text to video. You can type something in and you'll get a video back. You'll see there's a drop-down menu where you can switch between different modes. Let's explore frames to video. In each mode, you'll see these little chips that give you specific options for that mode. You have the option to use a first frame, a last frame, or both. This chip opens your ingredients drawer, which is a collection of previously used frames that you can select to reuse. You can also either upload or generate an image to use as a frame. Another chip here is where you'll find camera controls. You can select the camera icon and add a camera move into your generation without having to describe it in the prompt. You also get a little preview of what that camera move is. Now, let's take a look at ingredients to video mode. This is similar to frames to video, but instead of using the image as your first or last frame, you can select a few ingredients to combine in one scene and add a prompt of how you want them to interact in the clip. As you continue to use the same ingredients, you'll see how easy it is to achieve character, location, and object consistency across shots. Now that we have a clip that we like, let's bring it over to Scene Builder and make a little sequence. You can hover over the clip to see the button that says Add to Scene, and that automatically moves you into the Scene Builder. Here we are in the Scene Builder, where you can put multiple clips together to create a scene. Let's take a look at some of the ways you can do that. This feature is called Jump To. It uses the power of Gemini to understand how your previous clip ended to seamlessly generate the next one in the sequence, guided by your prompt. You can use these handles here to trim the clips in your scene. Use this plus button and select Extend, and add a prompt to extend the clip that you are working with to make longer scenes. There's another plus button here above the playhead, which allows you to save a frame for later in case you want to generate more clips starting or ending with that frame. Once you have all of your clips generated, you can also rearrange them in the sequence with this button. Then you click here and download your scene. So that is your quick introduction to getting started with Flow. We're incredibly excited to see what you
So
create.
Flow is a framework, for this. It's an amazing thing, right? So similarly, hospitality domain also, I will show you how people are
Is
using
this
it.
a free tool?
Are
Is this a
very
free tool?
interesting things. I actually,
Is
yeah,
this
yeah,
a
yeah.
and can we also use like some human
Yes,
like
yes.
our phone? Okay.
Yeah.
Jessica, Jessica. One more time, one more time. We're gonna go from just the first two verses and the first two verses will take us to 3 minutes, okay? I love music. The whole concept of music is collaboration. So if there's some people that see me as a musician, that's awesome. I first became interested in AI because AI is a very fruitful place to create in. It's a new tool for us. I dream and make my dreams reality, whether the dream is a song or the dream is an avatar of myself. One time a friend was like, well, you can't clone yourself. You can't be in two places at once. That's the promise of the avatar. And I left it over there. All right, here we go.
So you're about to enter the matrix. I'm going to sort of direct you through just a bunch of poses.
The team from Soul Machines is here to create a
Signature. So
I
we want to
think you
get the highest quality digital model of you that we can.
Okay.
I think sir has got dropped off. I think you got dropped off for a bit.
Oh, I see. Give me a minute.
You're here now. Now we can
Yeah,
see.
yeah. Okay.
I think ma'am is asking for the URL of Flow.
No, no, that is very easy. You see, go to Google, search flow from generation. It's very easy. Flow dot.
Flow dot.
You just say flow. You go to Google and say flow for
Okay.
generation, creating the content using flow. You will get that.
Somebody has given the link
Ah, yeah,
labs.google.com.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, this
uh,
is the correct one.
yes. So again, in the case of hospitality, you will be leveraging through chatbots, automatic content generation. Like, most of the time you create a bot where, customer facing bot, right? That is a main common use case. So there are some certain things like hallucination, bias and all that. Now, hospitality, quick quiz we'll have. I think we have 5, 6 minutes. So I wanted to cover this also in depth.
Yes,
Now,
please. Thank you.
so suppose if you see hospital industry, what is the one of the key areas of generative AI?
Prices.
So it is like, let me see. You are able to see my screen, right?
No, you'll need to share now.
Oh, I see. Give me a
Will you
minute.
join back? Yeah.
Yeah, because we need to be very cautious about time, right? It will unnecessarily disturb schedule of others. So now suppose I have this question. Now it is clear. You are able to see my screen, right?
Yes, yes, we are able to see.
So what is the one of the key uses of generative in hospitality industry? Clearly, lot of distractors you have automatically got communication, right? How it can improve marketing for hotels and resorts. So generally generating personalized marketing content and social media posts, right? In what way generative AI assist in creating virtual tours of hotels? You should answer this. These are common sense questions, right? Because don't worry, your quiz also will be, uh, you know, like you should be have a little bit of common sense only. It's not something very difficult. Oh, right, B, correct. So, how it can help in personalized guest experience? Again, your customization, personalization, that is option B. How it can be used in dynamic pricing? By doing demand forecasting, isn't it? Demand forecasting, generating optimal pricing. What role does generative AI play in staff training? So in training, one of the important thing is simulation, right? Case-based approach. People are interested to learn using use cases rather than some theory, right? So that's where you can generate, innovative content and simulations, right? How can generative AI enhance food and beverages? Because it's part of your hospitality only, right? Again, you can create new package, new combinations, new menu ideas, certain different recommendations, right? That is option B. In terms of customer feedback, how it will help managers? One is it will analyze and summarize the guest feedback. But one tricky thing is, you will have some bias and ethics related aspects, right? Even though that is not a part of this scope, I just want to alert you that, these summarization systems based on generative AI, one should be very, very careful about it, and there should be some kind of uh, uh, ethical aspects that one should look at, like monitoring and controlling these things. What is the one ethical concern in hospitality? Data privacy and misuse, we all know, right? Because we are giving our Aadhaar and other details, how it will use, that is important. Okay, now I have a reflection question. With that, I will stop this session. So, future potential for generative AI in hospitality is to provide fully automated and AI managed smart hotels. Can you reflect on this self-reflection, right? Because we touched upon five, six key workloads, how each of them becomes a critical touch point in hospitality, right? With that note, I will stop here. Thank you. Hope this
Thank
session
you.
is helpful.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much,
you.
Dr. Prakash. It's a very good session, and mm, I hope the participants were able to get some meat out of it, if I may say so.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Anjana, I will request you to give me 2-3 minutes. I just need to show the participants how they can access need to access the course and the assessment, because there are a lot of questions which were coming up. So I'll just take 2 minutes if you'll allow me.
Yeah, I can drop off it with your permission, Kamana. Thank you so much for your
Yes,
opportunity.
yes,
And
yes. Thank you so much. We
thank
will
you.
see you again in your next
Yeah.
session.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Bye.
And you can share your presentation with me. I'll share
Yeah.
it with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
participants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. All the best. Thank you. Bye. See you in the next.
Just one, give me a minute. I'm just taking out the skills plan. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Share screen share. So you need to go on to the Future Skills Prime platform. This is the platform. In the search bar, you will type generative AI fluency. So when you type generative AI fluency, you will get these three tabs. One is generative AI fluency. This is a 10-hour journey. You need to enroll in this one. This will help you to complete your course. This is the mock assessment. This is a free assessment. You can take this assessment to understand what is the pattern of questions, and which will help you to actually take the assessment properly. This is the final assessment. Now, you will be able to take this assessment only once you finish the complete course, which is this one. In the search bar, you just type generative AI fluency, you will get this. Once you will be able to complete this, you will be able to take the assessment. And for this assessment, you don't have to pay the 600 rupees. You just have to finish the course and then apply the coupon code for this. Then you will be able to take this assessment. You can also search for the course. I'll tell you one more way. If you go to learning, digital learning, the last tab is generative AI fluency. So if I click here, it will give me the course. And if I go on the search bar and search for, so I hope you understood how you can reach the course. Then if I type generative AI fluency assessment, it will give me the assessment here. But first finish the course, then you'll be able to take. I hope that is clear. So I'll stop sharing and thank you for giving me your time, Anjana. Uh, before I hand it over, I would like to introduce Anjana. She has been a tech leader with NASCOM, and now she is in Netherlands, where she is working as a consultant. And the last session that she took for fashion, retail, and supply chain was very, very well received by the participants, and they learned a lot. So similarly, I hope that you will now focus on the lecture, and I hope that all the things are clear. One more question. Again, Miss Vidya is asking that my registered mail ID on Atal and Future Skill is different. Is it okay? No, it is not okay. You need to have the same ID, which I have, you know, shared again and again. It is there in the WhatsApp group in the instructions, because the promo code is generated on the basis of the Atal email ID that you have used. And of course, it is not possible to spend 10 hours at a stretch. That is right, Dr. Raini, that is correct. So, what you need to do is you have these 6 days starting from Monday. Monday is already gone, Tuesday is gone. We are now on Wednesday. So you have some time. Please complete the courses. You can spend, couple of hours every day. And since you are already, you are already attending the lectures, it will be much faster for you. You will be able to complete the quizzes also. You need to complete the quizzes also to do that. Registered email ID on Atal. The promo codes have been shared today only. If you also check your spam mail, also check your junk mail. You would have received it. And if not, please message me privately. I will DM it to you. It is better to do the course because you need to do the assessment. Only then you will get your Atal certificate, because once we share the score with them, only then you will be able to get your Atal certificate. So you have some time to complete the assessment, but if you delay it, your Atal certificate will be delayed. So, and we will be moving on to the next cohort. So that will, so I will suggest that you please complete it within this week. And on once you complete the course on Future Skills Prime, you complete the assessment. If you score more than 70%, you will get a gold or bronze or silver certificate. So yes, you will be getting 2 certificates if you do well. So all the best. Please focus on the course now. 5 minutes I've taken. Thank you. Anjana, over to you. You are on mute. I can't hear you. You have unmuted, but still the audio is not coming. You want to log out and log back in? Just log out and log back in. The same thing happened with Prakash sir also. Miss Karishma, the coupon code is not valid if you have not completed the course. So it will obviously not be valid. As I explained, you need to complete the course, only then the coupon code will be working. So I'll request you to complete the course. It is not very, it, sorry, what's the question? Will we get certificate from Atal? Yes, we need to complete 33 modules. That's why I had requested you all to start learning. If you would have, if you are part of the WhatsApp group, we need to complete that, ma'am. And we are doing the lectures which are aligned to the courses. So it will be faster for you. The courses, what we are teaching in the courses, already you are hearing in the lectures. So you'll be able to read very fast and complete the courses. We have given on Monday itself, ma'am. In fact, we have given all the details on WhatsApp group starting from Saturday only. Yes, ma'am. You don't have to pay 600 rupees, Raini ma'am. You don't have to pay 600 rupees. You have to complete the course. The course, whatever is there in the modules, it is being taught in the lectures. So you just complete the course, then you have got the coupon code, you go to assessment, no need to pay 600 rupees. You just have to put the coupon code and then you will be able to take the assessment. You please finish the course by Saturday and you can take the assessment on Saturday, and if you finish before, you can even take it before. Venkata Ramakumari, you have completed 33 modules. Great. You can take the assessment then. It is available to you. You have the promo code also with you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Rahini, ma'am. Dr. Rahini, I think you can understand now. Thank you so much. Generative AI Fluency is the name of the course, Miss Nisha, as I have explained and as I have shown on the screen also. I can show it again. While Anjana ji is joining back, I'll just show my screen. Share. So this is the course. In the
Am I
search bar.
audible now?
Yeah, now you're audible. I'll just
Yeah.
take half a
Okay.
minute more because I'm just explaining this process again for some of them. So this is the Future Skills Prime platform. Here you type generative AI fluency. This is the course, and once you complete it, this is the assessment. You know, no need to pay the 600 rupees. You need to just use your coupon code to take the assessment. And once you take the assessment, we will get your scores. We will give it to Atal, and we will give your attendance to Atal after next week once the cohort is finished. We will give the score. We will give the, so that's why I'm saying you please finish the assessment by latest by Sunday. You finish it so that on Monday we take the scores, we give it to Atal, and then you put your feedback on Atal, and then you can get the certificate from Future Skills as well as Atal. So I think I hope it's clear now to everyone. I'll stop share and give it to Anjana. Please, Anjana. Venkatarama Kumari, please check your spam, junk. Uh, you have to register with the same email ID. Mr. Umayal, you'll have to, if you're not able to do that, you please send me a screenshot of the problem. We'll try to resolve it tomorrow with the team. Thank you. Over to you, Anjana. Please take it. Anjana, can you hear me? Again, we have lost you.
Uh, Kamna, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me, Kamna?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to hear you guys. I I can't hear you. There's some issue with my speaker, but since everybody can hear me, I will continue. And if you have any queries, please put it on chat because I think there's some issue with my speaker. So yeah, I'll start now, Kamna. Okay, great. So I'll share my screen first. I have a presentation, and I was also listening to Professor Prakash, Dr. Prakash, sorry, not Professor. He is a part of TechM. And I believe a lot of what we are going to cover, a part of it is already covered. For example, when he spoke about video creation, right? So today we are going to be talking about generative AI in supply chain management, retail, and fashion. So a large part of if you think about fashion and retail, there is a portion where you advertise, right? And that's where video creation is something can automatically be used. In terms of fashion, if you think of it, uh, you have to present models and you need actual models to shoot any video with them and create an advertisement, which is a lot of budget. And most of the time good fashion companies hire very expensive agencies to create this advertisement. So now all that part can also be done using generative AI. So I'm going to be focusing on the topic today, supply chain management, retail, and fashion. And before we even move further, I thought I'll just begin with a question, which is uh, where do you think, in supply chain management, can generative AI be used with the limited whatever information you all have got so far? Think of it in your head, and I'm just going to go to the next. It is another in store layout. Okay, what do you mean by store layout? Online or offline, Dr. Rainey? So parking mapping, offline. Okay. See, generative AI. Think of what is generative AI. Generative AI is more for things that you can create, right? And in a physical store, what can you do? You will have to actually do something physically. You will have to actually put while you can design a layout online, you still will have to lay out it on the ground. So online things you can do using generative AI. Yeah, in Lenskart, you can try. Yeah, you can try a spec, for example. You can, see how does it look on you, which is a framing, right? And then you go to actual store and you can go and book it and maybe, so that's a different thing basically. Simulation. Okay. Okay. So let me start with my session today, and let's talk about generatives AI. How is it going to change the transformation in supply chain management, and what are the advantages of it? Now, fortunately, I just met a supply chain management company yesterday, and they happen to be in fashion and retail. And I was just looking at their layout and how do they have their own internal system, and how do they prioritize and what were their SLAs in terms of delivery. Now, if you look at typical supply chain management, there are various parts, and I will be walking through it. But before that, let's look at a brief. I'm sure somebody might have already covered it, but I just want to ensure that before we go there, let's look at what is generative AI. What are we talking about? What is Gen AI? So, generative AI is that AI system that create new content from learned pattern. So what is new here? It's new content. Okay, so it's first time. It's not copied. It is not assimilation. It is not summarizing. It's absolutely new content, if you understand that. The difference between uh, the existing things that we were being, AI was always there, and I will come to that stage of where we will discuss on the history of AI a bit, just a 36,000 feet kind of view. But let's think about it. What is it? Generative AI brought so much new that we are discussing it. Why are all of us learning it? How will it change our navigation pattern? How will it change the way industry is looking at things? So there's a unique thing which is it's a new content. So if you earlier saw any engine, they were looking at, if you're looking at AI, it was still presenting data. It was giving you a view into data which is already fed in the system. Now I'm talking about something creating unique. So basically, which is not earlier existing. You don't have anything of that. Now there were foundation model of we have foundation model of generative AI, a large language model, which is example are GPTs, Claude, diffusion model like stable diffusion, mid journey. These are some of the foundation models of generative AI. What is the capability of a gen AI model? How do you define it as a gen AI model? It is capable of generating text, images, code, predictions, and complex decision making. Now, when we talk about NLP, which is natural language processing, you understand what is natural language, right? Why do we say natural language? What's the difference between natural language and why do we even say natural language? Can somebody think of it? So if you know, computers when they came are were always fed by something like zeros and one, right? Which is binary. If you know binary, if I have to write in a computer, AI, I cannot write A and I. Computer doesn't understand the language AI. Computer understand it in terms of zeros and one. Now, in the beginning, if you go almost 50 years back, people started interacting with computer using certain codes. And we know that how coding has developed, how interacting with computer has developed. So far, we were improving the way we communicate with the computers, right? And it was always using some kind of language, if you know, right? You would have heard of C++, and we are talking about multiple, and we've improved as we keep coming forward, and we've come to a level where we are able to communicate with computer as close as English and as close as a natural language. And the closest language now we have is Python, for example, where you and me don't have to go through the whole learning languages of computer like C or C++, or go back in understanding those formats of languages to communicate with a computer. And we are capable of, and now we have come to the new model, which is gen AI, where you don't need that. You already have a GPT. All you need is prompt. What is a prompt? Prompt is nothing but an understanding or able to communicate with the system in the shortest terminologies to get the maximum output out of it. So so that is how they different from the so here you see it shows the different from traditional AI. It generates novel outputs. Novel means new, and versus classification. So it's not classifying what you've already fed. It is not summarizing what you've already fed. That's the unique difference between Gen AI and AI. And what are the key technologies that we are talking about? Transformers, neural networks, reinforcement learnings. So I just spoke to you about what we say natural language processing. And what do you mean by neural network? We will just talk about it in the coming slides. This is the history of how we came to the stage of generative AI. So AI was already there. The reason you and I, and we haven't heard of it much is because probably it existed in the niche, or it existed in the technology community. So there were some few people working on AI because it needed intelligent system to be able to interact, certain languages to interact. As we keep moving forward, then we in 1980s we had machine learning. Machine learning is nothing but where we are saying we have the capability to train the machine. And this is as small as being able to, if you remember even 5 years back, if you're typing a message, 5 6 years back, if you have a smartphone, from the time you have got smartphone, there was some sort of understanding, right? If you're typing a word and you write if you write A P P, it will automatically show you apple and possible words, right? What is it? It is predictive modeling. Basically, it's already showing you what is the possible word that you would be typing in your message, and that's based on feeding the engine some primary data. And that's where we talk about machine learning models and mimic you. So now we come to 2010. 2010, we're talking about deep learning, where the models are trying to mimic the human brain. And if you know, the human brain is capable of so many things. The other day, I was listening to a podcast of Perplexity CEO, and how he differentiates the difference between a human brain. So we are in a capability of generative AI where we are just trying to solve one part of it, which is able to generate or write something, generate a text, but we're still not talking about human capability of being able to do something physically. So think of it, right? If you have a young child who is, let's say, 2 3 years old, and if you are teaching them, right, this is a dog, this is a cat, they can jump and talk, and they can also look at a new animal which they have never seen, and maybe call it a similar thing which they have seen in the past. And for example, the other day, my daughter saw this deer with many horns first time, and she was like, this is like a buffalo, because she had not seen it. But then that she can jump and say the same. So we are not still at the capability of technology being able to meet anywhere close to what human can do, but then we are trying to solve one part of it, which is ability to think differently, ability to make a decision, ability to generate a new content or do something, uh, I would say, innovatively. So that's where we are able to. Oh, NLP you have learned. Yeah, I'm not teaching NLP. I just mentioned NLP. What is NLP? So and now we come to cut to 2020 Gen AI, and suddenly OpenAI launched its GPT. 3.2. It became very popular, and then they brought GPT 3.5. It became very popular, and then they got a GPT model 4.0. By the time they got GPT model 4.0, we had 2 3 other platforms launching similar large language models. Amazon had its own GPTs, and Google had its own Gemini, and then we had Microsoft Copilot. So all of these are nothing but a Gen AI large language model. Obviously, we have different kind of model to generate images, different kind of model to generate movies, generate unique words. So there are models which are capable of generating images, then there are models capable of generating images and text. For example, GPT is majorly generating text for you, but you will also see it generating images now, but the images are not very very I would say on the end of design end, not so polished, because it's not an engine designed to generate images. But you should also look at the possibility of why we have been able to generate chat Gen AI models in 2020. By 2020, between 2010 and 2020, there was a distant growth in terms of capability of being able to store data. And that is because when we are and data processing, and that's when NVIDIA came with high processing GPU, and which is very essential to have a Gen AI model. Today, the amount of data handling, the amount of energy consumed by one open AI itself is more than some of the countries consuming electricity. So that is why, if you look at a lot of organization, they support building on these LLMs rather than recreating any LLMs, because primarily the base is already made. Now you have to build on it, and it's possible for anybody to build from here. You can always go and enroll into enterprise chat gpt, buy an enrollment into enterprise gpt or any model, and try and tweak it, and create your own prompts, your own engines from there, starting from it as a base. Okay, so we now, whatever I'm just telling you, it's just the what happens in a Gen AI model. How does a Gen AI model works? So you have a data, then you have a Gen AI model. Now, this model could be GPT, this model could be Microsoft Copilot, this model could be, any other GPT you can think of, Gemini, and then you write a prompt. Like I said, prompt is nothing but a simple English query that you're writing. And unlike a query based language like SQL or any other query, you don't have to learn that. You can simply create a prompt by trial and error, and you will get an output. This output will vary as you design your prompt, and this output also will be every time different and unique. This is the inside model where there is something happening in a real supply chain environment. And I will come to this later because I have a video to explain this. But it shows how many GPT models are inserted and how many commands are inserted to be able to have this whole supply chain being built for a single line item or for a single command prompt. If I know this is a very small font size, I've just kept it to show you the inside of what happens in a real business scenario. So this is a real business scenario where you see an impact detection, where what happens when suppliers see an impact, and then what happens because you have trained your GPT models to behave in certain scenarios. And somebody did put it in chat, scenario building, right? So you can now do the scenario building using GPTs, and then you can get them ready for a real life scenario, a real issue that can occur in a business world. Now, let's come into the overview of Gen AI, right? Gen AI compasses models that create new data and designs revolutionizing supply chain management through enhanced forecasting, automation, scenario generation for retail and fashion. Like I said yesterday, I visited somebody who is a part of supply chain management solution, a distribution worker, a distribution organization who is doing end-to-end supply chain management solution also. Now, they told me that SLAs, for example, in terms of fashion, some of the fashion outlets, when they are doing their fashion shows, are as much as resolution time being 5 hours to 6 hours. When I say resolution time, that means imagine that somebody is expecting a delivery. And from India context, let's say I have a central warehouse in Mumbai because it's coming by port. Let's imagine it's coming by port, or it's coming by if even if it is coming by flight, you only have certain hubs where you create your logistic hub house. And now it has to go to wherever fashion show is happening. If it is in Delhi, then it has to be there before 6 hours. And we're looking at everything from item being scanned, item being wrapped, tagged being removed, tag being put. If there are changes being done, it has to be go out out delivery. It has to be it has to go in a truck if because it will, let's say it's a shipping warehouse, then it has to go to the airport. It will have its own clearance, it will have its own documentation, which will be customs, bills, and so many other items, and everything to happen in 6 hours. So that is where you would have already built in for these scenarios, because they are very frequent to you as an organization. Now, normally, if you look at in order to sort it out, organization, if you look at even logistic solution, sort their logistic outlet, this for fashion, this for retail. Within fashion, they will again segment it as per premium brands or niche brands or luxury brands are different, treated differently, because their expectation are different, because you do not want a suit which is costing 5,000 euros or $5,000 to be stained. You cannot afford it to be stained, because that's a complete throwaway for them. So it will vary as per the segmentation within fashion, and that's how they segment. Even within their warehouses, they also have SLAs according to it decided, and hence the scenario can be built according to that. Now, the forecasting will also be what is the number of things which will go out, and which is the number of things which will come in the warehouse, to what is the number which is being sold in the market. This is of great importance. I'll tell you why. Because warehouses charge a huge amount of money for every single step they do, and from the time they receive any inventory to the time they ship it to the time it is received at the other end, every step is charged. And if there is no proper forecast, then you probably paying them double or triple, and that is why organization would like a better forecast. Like I said, what is the difference between generative AI versus traditional AI? So its very fundamental difference is that one is generating, and that's why called generative AI. And the traditional AI is more on highlighting the, date driving innovation was already being used. If you look at AI being used, even 20, 30, 40 years back or 30 years back, AI was still being used. If you look at time, AI came into existence, and all of you would have heard when Facebook came into a lot of litigations for taking user data into using it to navigate advertisement and selling it, and the AI was already there by then. And now we're talking about Gen AI. So now how is it different is something. So like I said, there are three, we are going to be there are multiple differences, but we're going to be concentrating on three differences today. One is text generation, image creation, and third is simulation result, right? And especially in use cases. So this is a supply chain. As I said, we're talking about, this is an old supply chain, and if you look at supply chain almost 50 years back, also this would be the image you would see. But things have changed now, and there are, you are no more a customer, you're no more going to a retailer, right? If you buy even groceries today, you have five different brands to supply to you in five different ways. So you can book groceries from your local retail guy also. He can come and deliver it. You can also book it from Zepto, who is a quick commerce delivery, and deliver to you in 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, depending on, what is the extra buffer they take. And then you can also have something booked for later. So, and you have all these channels available. You can also book something from your phone using a Facebook or Instagram. You can also buy from Instagram, and you can also buy from online retail price. So you're not limited to this, single supply chain management anymore. You have to have multi-channel, and you have to have multiple places present. And that's where I think it became important for us to uh, move forward. So now I'm just going to play this video, which will showcase a little bit about what happens in fashion, because we're going to be treating fashion and retail differently because they are different. You know, their expectation are different, and hence the output or whatever solution they use will be different. Tell me if you can hear the sound. I hope
You
all of you
need to
can hear,
select, you need
and
to,
since I can't hear you, please confirm.
uh, no,
Can you hear the sound of the video?
no,
No.
no, no.
So should I just
Uh,
share it
wait,
maybe with video?
wait, wait.
Reshare it with video.
Mm, wait. Mm.
So I'm jumping directly to the slide which I was there, and
Mm.
so you can see two things already in this video. I'm not going to be showing the whole 10 minutes video. I will be just skipping through it. There are two things which are visible in fashion already. Number one is a lot of wastage, because, and that is because of fast fashion. So they showed fast fashion, and companies like Zara brought fast fashion. Not only Zara, there are multiple other companies like Shane. You would have heard of it. It's a Chinese company. And a lot of basically a consumer mindset is also leading to a lot of waste and landfill waste. And that's giving rise to governments being very, very strict when it comes to companies. And I'm sorry, I have stopped the video if you are thinking it's still playing. And was the sound not audible to all of you? Because I did share it uh, when I played it. Okay. I got that. Sorry, my bad. Uh, right. I did share the sound. Okay. Now, can you guys hear me? Hear this video? Okay. Okay, great. So yeah, I mean, any which ways the video was more visible. If you could see, even if you could not hear, which was one, a lot of waste, and second was a lot of fast fashion, which means logistic and distribution. So just getting there. So if you look at the fast fashion, right, the important part is okay. So we'll figure out the audio thing. I understand a lot of you are putting uh okay. Some questions are there. I think I'll ask Kamna, maybe will answer them in the end of this video also. I hope all of you can hear me. Uh, so, uh, so the important part when it comes to fashion is that three part, if you look at it. Number one is, of course, a lot of wastage. Number two is because it is fast fashion, there are two important elements. One is design, and number two is to sort out for the supply chain management, which is to be able to go to the market as quickly as within 2 3 months with the product lines. And if you remember long back, it used to take a long time for fashion to change, and now, if you look at it, there are very new designs and new outfits in the stores and very quickly. But if you look at the whole, fashion supply chain management, it also means that they have to produce all of that, distribute all of that, and especially in case like Zara, which is mainly based store based, will have to have all of those things displayed in their store. So I'm resharing my PPT, and yeah, I am sharing it with sound. So I wonder why it is not uh, coming. Okay, so moving forward to the next slide, which is introduction of. Okay, sorry. Okay, so introduction of generative AI in supply chain management. Like I said, we have to understand where can we fit generative AI, because it's different. It's not AI. Now, in supply chain management, we will identify where can we ensure that AI can help us, and which are the areas it will be able to help us in making our supply chain management faster. So, the first part is demand forecasting. Second is automated generation of promotional plan. And number three is supplier risk analysis. So I'll be touching on these three, probably with examples. The first, why is it different in demand forecasting? So both supplier risk analysis and demand forecasting are almost, related to each other. Of course, we when we talk about promotional plans, is something that is entirely different and will influence your demand forecasting, right? So when it comes to demand forecasting, AI help you simulating the customer behavior, which is, for example, if you look at your AI, traditional AI, it used to be more of a predictive analysis on the basis of prior data. So if you feed your data of 2 3 years, what you have sold, how have customers bought it, and how is it going to be doing, it will probably give you what would be the sale this year and what item will get sold. But when it comes to demand forecasting, also using generative AI, it will now also help you understand what are you thinking, why, which page on Facebook are you going, what have you bought recently, and so why can you buy our product. Basically, it is able to decide or almost judge like a human being, collecting different data points and interrelating to them, and that will help you optimize your inventory and also respond to the market trends better, because now you can also create new products using generative AI. The second part is automated marketing plans. So far, we've been dependent on promotion being a part of a strategy when it comes to marketing. There is a proper design in terms of how to design promotions and how to go out campaigns which are done. They're not real time based. there is always a gap between when you design, and there are certain very obvious promotions, like for example you had Diwali, and of course everybody would be giving Diwali bonanza and Diwali bonus and Diwali sale and all of those things. But then how about on a regular basis? If you look at these days, sale is almost every other day to increase the consumer behavior or consumer purchase. How do they decide? And that is why you need a dynamic promotional strategy, and generative AI can help you do something like that. The key capabilities, if you look at when it comes to scenario generation, is synthesizing new ideas, because Gen AI can create new ideas, can think of new ideas which you can't, for example, or which simulation. If you look at traditional simulation, was done using if you have even used regression ever, then you keep one factor constant, and then you use a variable line, and you keep x constant, and then you vary y to be able to predict something, right? You are not moving too many components, because it is difficult for you to create a engine to be able to do a analysis in that case. And that's the benefit of something like generative AI. So that's there. Now, AI generated logistic planning, which I said is something which will help you optimize simulating various routing capacity options, improving efficiency and reducing cost, and ensuring a timely delivery in supply chain environment. I will also cover this using a video. And this very, very important part of supplier risk analysis. What is a supplier risk analysis? If you remember, recently we had floods or I would say flash floods in various parts of India, especially in the mountain or hilly portions like Himachal and Uttarakhand, and you right. Now, in that case, what is a supplier risk analysis? A supplier risk analysis is when you hear about heavy rains, then you anticipate that this supplier will not be able to, probably supply further, and hence you reroute your demand. And while we are looking at a scenario which is actually not good for people, but then from a business point of view, they will have to also plan for exigency, or plan for a such a scenario, where what would they do with their products, and how would they reroute it, or how would they ensure that there is a constant supply of the product they are receiving from these geographies. Now, I'm going to be so there are two part in when it comes to retail. Like I said, predictive analysis, automated marketing, and dynamic promotion strategies. Let me go and play this video, which is coming next. And this time, I'm going to tell me if you can hear the sound. Can you hear? If you can hear, if you could just confirm, then I will make it full screen. Else I will have to share it. No, okay. So yeah, there's some problem with my system today. Uh, Wait, let me reshare it. Now, was it audible? Yeah. Uh, so Padma, we will give you promo code. Don't worry about the promo code. If you guys can please confirm the sound, then I'll just play it. No, 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 no. Okay. Yeah, there's some problem with my system. It's not about share, I believe. I have shared the sound. Mm, okay. I have already shared. If you look at advance, I don't have to click advance. I've already shared my sound, Rahini. If you look here, I don't know, you can't see my screen, but I've already shared sound. There's some problem with the. Okay. So I've already shared my sound and I've also shared the PowerPoint and sound. So I've done that sharing part, but somehow share video with host. Okay. Okay. If you guys can still not hear it, let me um, play it on maybe YouTube. Hmm. I'm resharing. I'm going to be playing it on YouTube and see if you guys can hear it. So I am just sharing my YouTube screen. Since share sound, I've clicked everything when it comes to sharing sound. So I don't know why it's not working because today there's something wrong with my system and that's why I can't hear you guys, hear anyone also. So let's see if it works. Is it audible? Audio. Okay, let's try again. If it is not audible, let me try again. I think there's a it's not that I'm not clicking on audio. It's an issue with my system, is what my feeling is. Let me just try one more time. And this was a very good video, actually. I wanted all of you to see. I'm just sharing the link with everyone. It's a wonderful video. If in terms of explaining how and I will walk you through because you can't hear it. So let me just share my screen again and ensure that I walk you through the scenario so that at least you can understand what is going on. Um, Somebody raised their hand, so let me see people. Yes. Let's walk through this, right? And like you said, if I can put subtitles of this video, I'm putting the subtitles and replaying it. Okay, I'm just going to pause and explain till now what happened is share sound, select browser window with the YouTube video displayed. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk through this what happened because anyways this is a very super fast video. It's a video of only 1 minute 51 seconds, which which talks about multiple scenarios very quickly, and that's why I anyway wanted to pause at every stage of this video and talk through it. I'm also stopping my share button, and I'm going to retry as Rahini, because, like you said, let me I'll try again. So what happens here is that it's already checked. If you can, I don't know if you can see my screen at the bottom left, share sound of the screen. I don't see share sound option on my bottom left. Browser window with YouTube video display. This is YouTube video. Okay. Right. So, so what happens in this case is that there is a flood, right? And they're showing what Dahlia does, which is specially designed for supply chain management. So what Dahlia does is that it it reads there is a flash flood in Michigan, right? So they're talking about Hanes. If you know Hanes tomato, they have a lot of produce and they have a lot of retails like tomato sauce. Uh, they are a major so they have utilized Microsoft 365 Dynamics along with then supply chain management solution, and that's what obviously they are trying to sell their solution, and that's why this. But then we need to look at what is generative AI capable of. So if you look at this, it's of course been simulated, designed to understand this scenario. So what happens? There is a flash flood in Michigan that could impact tomato harvest. Now, why is it important news for Heinz? Because Heinz has a supplier from here, right? Then it automatically reads this email, and next thing.
Let me try to play the video if that's
So
okay.
in this case,
Right.
when Dahlia has been already trained, of course, for this scenario, now she sees there is a flood in Michigan and they have a supplier of tomato in Michigan. And so what does she do? She automatically flags it as an immediate risk. Why is it an immediate risk? Because the flood could impact tomato harvest, and because tomato harvest would be impacted, of course the suppliers of hens will be impacted. So what does Dahlia in this case do? For a safer side, it drafts an email and say, can we expect whatever supply we expected? And I will later on towards the end of this session also talk about what are the possibilities now. We are still talking about generative AI, and this is a place where scenario has been already designed to handle certain situation. So here Dahlia is the person who is sending an email. And if you see, there is a draft which is already drafted, but then she's the one who's sending it, right? She's just observing whatever was flagged. And okay, so that's what happens. And I'm just unsharing it and resharing my screen. Okay, so we are coming to the next page of after this video, which is generative AI in fashion. So, how is it different, right? How is it different from retail? There are multiple steps in fashion which are very different. For example, if you have seen, like somebody was talking about, is my screen not visible? I hope my screen is visible to everybody. Okay. So great. So somebody had mentioned about this specs retailer, right? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the company. Uh, so mm, they said that what do they do? They can you can try on the glasses and see how does it appear or how does it look on your face even before you go to a shop, right? That's because the fact of the matter is that when you go to a shop, sometimes you're lost. Especially because when it comes to specs, I think everything looks very similar. But what about clothes? These days, there are lot of sites. If you look at it, yeah, Lenskart. Thank you for reminding me. So yeah, Lenskart. And there are so many fashion designers or fashion statement where you can actually do a virtual trial. But then There is a step before even things go to the fashions, things get made in a fashion company. That is virtual sampling. So before even a prototyping happens, what happens is they actually design they design actual garments, and they sample it and see what is the best to go this year, right? That's a huge investment for fashion companies because they have to put a real people, they have to stitch real clothes, they have to do real designs, and then they do a sampling. But with generative AI, you can do virtual sampling without doing all of that investment. And you can also do virtual prototyping. Prototyping is nothing but you basically production, after the production of the virtual the sample, there are certain prototypes that are made, and then you see if they look very different physically, and they were looking very good on uh, in maybe on manicure, but they are not looking very good on people. So but now you can do all of those steps in the prototyping and virtual sampling, and this definitely saves not only time but a lot of money for these fashion companies. uh, I'll give you another example. So I used to work for NASCOM, and I was interacting with one of these startups and I'm talking about the year 2018. I met one of the startups, and he told me that he's working on a virtual reality, generator model where they generate faces, and it's of course based on similar like a GPT. And I asked him why do you do it like, oh, because I couldn't figure it out, what is this use case of something like this. And that's when he said that the potential customer for them is companies, or maybe newspaper agencies, or somewhere you use faces, right? So if you look at any fashion, uh, if you look at Mintra or you would see people. Now, majority of the time in the past, those people were actual models who people pay, and they have to actually shoot, they have to actually design them in the clothing, and all of that pre-production and everything takes a lot of time and amount of money which is spent on it. Now, what a platform like that do if you think about it? If there are faces, you may think that they are real people because they don't look like robots, they look like actual people, but they are not actual people. So it's the generation of images, or generation of faces, and now you are putting certain designs on them, and it's lined up in engines like Flipkart, Mintra, and Nika, and all of these can easily, they don't need time to uh, you know put uh, things on the platform. But when it comes to post this GPT, in fact some startups like this have actually are no more even viable, because you have so many free engines to do it, and anybody can do it, and it's become almost B2C, and anyone can buy the subscription and you can do it. The most important aspect, if you look at even before sampling and prototyping in fashion, is design ideation and trend prediction. Design ideation, if you know, fashion shows or fashion designers are, you name them, Gucci, Prada, and they are like big houses. Think about it, when it is anybody can design, and GPT is enabling design anything, and there is no intellectual property on so many designs, and anybody can own the intellectual property. That's a very, very big disruption on the whole design industry. And not only design industry, think about other industries where you have this original design or original creation, like artist or like a painter or like a sculpture, or wherever you can think of a original concept, it's been something which you can do from generative AI. Of course, supply chain agility and responsiveness. We just saw that the very biggest thing in fashion is the quick commerce, or the fast fashion is the turnaround time. The turnaround time definitely will increase if you increase your virtual sampling, prototyping, design ideation, and trend prediction. So the moment you're able to predict the trend, and beside fashion, if you look at beside the seasons, if you look at fashion these days, is changing as per the trend, right? And who's going to be predicting that trend? So with generative, you have the capability of not only able to predict the trend but also design as per the trend, also sample and prototype, and have the supply chain agility and responsiveness. Um, Now, like it's revolutionizing the design ideation, right? And it's a huge, huge area. Think about it. Like I said, think of it that we're talking about brands like who have been charged, who are big powerhouses. Especially, I live in the Netherlands, and if look at certain areas or certain brands in the proximity, like France or Spain, are hubs of fashion and hubs of design, or Milan. So, what would happen to such brands? What would happen to Gucci's, or what would happen to Prada's, or what would happen to, you know, all of these big labels, Michael Kors? What, how will things change for them? Now, anybody can enter this area. We and somebody did spoke about Sophia, and and we can also have 3D printing possible. 3D printer is also helping you. 3D generated clothing sample is helping you not actually design them and waste a lot of clothes and have a lot of landfill. Also, like I said, sustainability, which is a lot of wastage which is generated by such industries, especially fashion and clothing being one of them, because of the amount of waste which comes to the landfill. Governments are charging this huge sustainability tax or huge sustainability amount of money. That has become an important part, and hence there is another angle to fashion which is becoming very, very famous, which is designing sustainable clothing, or able to design, regenerate the clothes or regenerate the fabrics, and not have them go to landfills after first wear. Now, like I said, sustainability is very, very important part, because of the amount of waste. Not only while making, and you also may know that fabric dyeing, fabric bleaching also is another area where a lot of waste is generated, which is not good for the environment, and then probably rush to the rivers and freshwater sources, and contaminate the sources of water. So that's another area where these this is making. And when we're talking about fashion, we're not only talking about clothing, we're also talking about bags, we're also talking about leather goods, we're also talking about anything which you wear and anything which is related to fashion. And it's also changing the landscape of how we define fashion. Now, I'm just showing you something. I had to make it into a video file, but then I generated this whole video file using a platform called Runway. I'm just showing you. Okay, so this is a t-shirt design that I obviously gave a prompt, and I wanted Runway to design for. It's called Runway because it's something. This is a platform that is capable of generating videos and generating images, and you can see that this is a GIF, right? A graphical interface, the small videos. And I wanted it to generate a Gen Z t-shirt. I gave two colors. Initially, I wanted it to be red, and then it was red, and then I changed the color to black. And this is what it generated. It also generated somebody wearing it. Now, if I own a brand, right? For example, if supposedly I open my own brand, I can print it. I can put it on Flipkart. I don't need a model, or I can put it on anywhere, Amazon. I don't need a model. I don't need a trial. And I can just put standard sizes. I'm not even produced if you look at it. I'm just putting it, and the when I get a demand of this t-shirt, I can then, find already producers and then order them, right? Without having any prior investment in terms of a designer, in terms of a, shooting or video creation, or even actually making anything. And once I have demand for this, I can, you can also try. Basically, this is a free, obviously they give you limited credits which you can try for free. After that, it's a paid site. You have to take subscription too. But then my point of driving is that all of us are capable of actually making our own businesses today. All of this are enablers. All of these platforms are, enabler for us. uh, so yeah, that's next. And the challenging future outlook for generative AI. Think of it that we've been all so far, right? We are already there. I think it's 4:15, and we've been only talking about good part. And it can never be the case that where you only have good things in a technology and there are no drawbacks, or there are no areas of consideration. So, what do you think are the areas where you need to think the challenge and the outlook of generative AI, right? Number one is we're saying that so far we have a real truth. And if you know what is a real truth, think of it philosophically. All of us have seen a real plane or real bird, a real animal, or a real, uh, kite, let's say, because we have been outside. If you're in a world of only generative AI, you will have no real thing to actually find out whether generative AI is even generating real content, or if it is even authentic. How do you validate the authenticity of the content? How do you validate if whatever it is generating is not, is right, or is it even true, or is it even good? So somewhere it is important to have a probably something to measure the content, or measure what is happening in generative AI. A very important part of this will be reflecting in the risk or issues relating to transparency. Long back, when I was talking about in this about the Facebook, when they faced suit in US about privacy and issues about data, how are they using user data on their platform? We don't know how so far the data, these large language models, and I'm talking about all the platforms, whether it is GPT, Microsoft Copilot, Gemini, Claude, or any other engine, how are they using the data that you utilize for probably a query? And how is your personal data being treated? Because nobody has the end to this tunnel. So when you feed your if somebody has already generated, I'm very happy, people are real time, real fast. Deepika and Dr. Ramani, I think he's generated uh, let me open it. I will share it after this, I think. So I hope you can still see my screen, because I just clicked on his thing. So yeah, my point is that going back to the screen. I will show you what you have generated, by the way, after I'm done. Okay. So yeah. So the important point is, coming back to here. The important point is that it's an operational risk, and it's a risk all of us are taking. That is why regulatory considerations are very important of how, and especially in an environment of supply chain management, because eventually, so far there are only 3 4 players in the area of large language models, and like I said, you can build on it, but everything is built on only these 4 systems. What if these 4 systems start sharing competitor data, right? If For example, assumingly both Flipkart and Amazon in India, I'm talking about Amazon India, you start using the same GPT and build on it to train their supply chain management. And then who is a bigger person having all the information is GPT and not, this is their trade secret, right? If you look at the whole thing about e-commerce today, is how have they been able to navigate that path. That's their competency. Anybody couldn't make another, you couldn't have the third player survive in this bloodbath, because both of them are cutthroat in terms of being able to manage their supply chain management. So can that lead to creation of newer trends? Now, I'm going to a very, very important part called future trends, which is and Future Skills Prime. I normally show Future Skills Prime, and but then today I think Kamna already did it in advance. So I'm going to Gemini. This is the site. I'm sharing it with you, and then I will come to future trends. So can all of you can directly open Gemini. I will share it with you. Let me stop sharing my screen and share the link with you of Gemini. I have it open, by the way. Wait a minute. So I am just sharing it on your screen. It's Gemini. Okay. Uh, So Gemini.com. I'm also sharing a file, uh, which is component. And now I'm sharing my screen of Gemini. Okay. All of you can see my screen. Now, okay, so I'll share an Excel file with all of you, which is a very, very basic, uh, you know, um the statement is that I'm resharing my screen and I'll share the problem statement with all of you. Okay. Now, so a smartphone company sources key components, batteries, chips, and screens from 3 countries. And recent geopolitical tension threatens supply continuity. And I've just provided a table: component name, supplier, country, inventory, dependency level. Okay. Now, what are we going to do? We are going to figure it out certain questions from this basic, very, very basic template and use it on Gemini. So you've all received the file I've shared with you. Now let's go to Gemini and work on this. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen of Gemini. Okay. So this is Gemini, and I'm going to go to tools, Canvas, Gemini Canvas, and I am going to share my upload my file, which is I have just shared with you guys. Let me go back on my desktop. So I have this component file which I shared with you. Okay. Now let's go and answer certain problem statement. For example, let's say which component have low inventory and come from only one country. Okay. I'm just typing it here. You can also have your own versions, but I'm just showing you this one answer. This is the CSV. This is the question that I'm going to be answering. Okay, here we are. Which component have low inventory and come from only one country? So it's working on it. It's importing pandas. If you look at it, this is a Python query. Import pandas as PD, which is nothing but the file name from IO. Import string. What is a string? You don't have to understand all of this, but I'm just telling you that this is. It's just also showing you what is a workout, by the way. Which is like rough work. If you see mathematics, how you have working out, so I can definitely help you identify those high risk component having low inventory. It just giving me an answer. And here it is. Okay. Okay. The component that have low inventory and rely on sole supply for single country are battery from South Korea and speaker from Vietnam. These two items represent the highest immediate risk for potential stockout due to the low stock combined with zero redundancy in the supply chain. You might want to focus on increase the inventory. This is a very, very simple file. Okay. Now, one giving you this example was if you remember, if I don't know how many of you have used VLOOKUP. So, traditionally, if you have to even match something in one row to another row, in another column, column to another column, and see how many redundancies are there in an Excel file, it used to take a command of VLOOKUP on an Excel. Okay. Now think of it that you have this whole thing so well designed. I did, forget about this. No, this is just a workout. This area, this is just a collab. It's working on collab. I'm just closing this. Okay. So that we can just see the answer part. That's actually a workout part. What is it doing at the background? So you don't have to do anything. All I did is I uploaded a small Excel which shows basic description of supplier and components and how many suppliers for which components. That's all. And now I want it to do one level of analysis and it's giving me an analysis. Also, if you see in the background, it talks about what are the things they have considered, right? High risk component which was in the past immediately was COVID. And where did the COVID start from? China, and then of course you had a lot of it in South Asia, and hence Vietnam, South Korea, all of them, in the proximity, and it's calculating it. And similarly, you can do many other questions. We can do one more and check. I'm also keeping the time. I think we are done with the time, so I don't want to waste much time. But you can put more questions and uh, try with the same Gemini platform that I with the same Excel file, because I want to just cover one part before I finish this PPT, which is what is the future, because we did the hands-on and just want to cover that future part of it so that we don't forget. So there is an important part. So far, you would have heard that ChatGPT is going, Gen AI is going to take away people's job, and it's a very very popular thing that's happening. So it's not happened, to be honest, because Gen AI still need. You saw that ad, a Microsoft Copilot, that there was a lady who was sending email, and she was the one who was analyzing and Dali and all of that. In reality, whatever people are talking about is going to come. So it's not far away. Now, with the help of these Gen AI, you can actually create agents. And if you know, I mean, all of us are from same, we all have heard of, you've heard of this agent at a service desk or call desk. Now, think about similar person being artificially created. So basically, I can create four agents. One can answer my chat here, and one can go to my LinkedIn, update it. One can go to my social media and update it. And I can actually replace 2 or 3 people by making agent for customized tasks. And that's the future possibility which is coming. And you will hear about it sooner because there are already organizations who have started working on this area, which is called agent AI. And I think somebody will be also covering that part. Because I did see last time someone covering AI agents. So you can actually create AI agents. And while till now, till Gen AI, you did not see much impact on job markets. You will see it subtly because there are areas being impacted like original creation of content or original design creation. You will see those areas affected. But agentic AI is something that will actually impact the lower job roles like taking a call, answering a chatbot, areas which do not which are can be automated or can have an original, and the agents can also by the way speak, so you will no more feel like robotic because they're capable of human like voice. So that's the future of Gen AI, and that is the direction we are moving into. All of you, I think, after doing this, Gen AI should try and create your own agents. So, agents are not very different from what we did, like a prompt, right? It's only that you have to customize it and ensure it's able to run on its own. So, you don't have to be sitting there and operating it or running it, and it can rerun it, and you can design it to rerun on any prompt. Okay. So yeah. So that's the thing. And I think today I was a little slow, so that is why questions are still pending. And I'm so sorry to take make you guys wait at this time of hour. I'm just these are just questions which is also maybe part of the thing, which is generative improves demand forecasting by which model. Think of it. I mean, these are for you to think through. And I think Kamna will also share the PPT with you guys. These are the areas where I used references for.
Yes.
And you can also
Sure.
refer to
Once you
them
share,
and learn more. Uh, and thank you so much.
thank you. I'm speaking now. I don't know if you can hear me, but thank you so much, Anjana. Please share the PPT with me. I will share it with the participants. It was a great session and learned a lot of new things. I'm sure the faculty also benefited a lot. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everyone. We will see you tomorrow, same time, 6 o'clock. Be there. Thank you so much. Thank you.